Well, you still haven't faded. You didn't
I'm
fade,
sorry. I
If,
keep
if
saying
we're
I'm
gonna do
gonna.
this right, there's
I
got to be a fade
I
out.
keep promising this
You keep
whole.
promising me fade,
I
and I get
know.
dropped.
I know. I'm
It's
so
like
sorry.
it's like your girlfriend dropping you. It's over.
Welcome to Awakenings Within. Have you ever wondered? Okay, when I say that, Bob, what do
Yeah.
you think of when I say "Welcome to Awakenings Within"? What does that mean to you?
Well, it depends on what kind of mood I'm in. If it's in the morning, I think it's because you're trying to wake me up because I'm asleep and now we should have coffee. So on Mondays, when you say that, I'm sort of like, okay, I got to wake up here because it's the week. But on
Mm-hmm.
Thursday nights, when you say that, I think of spiritual awakenings, the awakening of the soul, a rebirth, a renaissance, a reformation, bringing our souls into a state of awakeness. The other phrase, though, probably that would fit into the current times and seasons is spiritual alertness.
Yes.
We need to be awake so that we can be alert, because this is a real time and season that if you are a person of faith, you need to be alert.
Yes. Agreed.
Yeah.
Hi, Heather. Thanks for joining. There's Heather.
Yeah. Hey, Heather. Nice to see you on
So,
with us. Yeah. It's a very interesting time right now. And one I tried to warn people about a year ago.
yes.
And I think the developments of the last 12 months and what people are starting to see rolling out has got a lot of people suddenly going, oh my gosh.
Yes.
The world is shifting quickly.
Yes. It is. And I don't know if we're clear on where, right?
Well, I'm pretty clear on
Right?
on where. I just don't know the extremeness of it, meaning that I am keenly aware that technology, which we thought we had experienced, at least our generation thought we'd experienced a quantum leap in technology. I think you better get ready to put your seatbelt on, because what's rolling out right now is a quantum leap in technology that's going to happen in a very short period of time. The acceleration level of it is off the charts, and you're starting to see it, and what you can, if you just watch, especially TV and different media, but primarily TV, it's amazing how many commercials now by the big five are all about AI.
Oh, yes.
Have you noticed that? Like a year ago, you never even heard of AI. Like it was a geeky, it was a thing for geeks.
Right.
Right. A year ago, it was
Now
a
it's
thing
all
for
over.
geeks. You had to be in the sector to really kind of understand what's going on. So it was limited in its scope of, of people being aware of it. Now it's out into the public. It's out in the public, like it's on television now, like companies are bragging about it.
Right.
You see? You see it, how it, and this is how you can see the shift going on, because once things get out into the public sector and it starts impacting our daily lives, we're into a whole nother arena. And the word I want to use is normalization
of AI.
Right.
Yes.
You see, when you start seeing it being advertised on TV, now that we're into the normalization. So the other day, I ended up finally breaking down and getting cable TV after a couple years of just doing Netflix and stuff like that. Right.
Right.
So to activate it, I had to call a number. I spent the next 15 minutes talking to an AI.
Huh.
It was really interesting, and I knew it because it it responded to my question. I mean, it's incredibly smooth. Like if you even go back 5 years and the
I think
kind
I've
of
yelled at a
voice
couple
thing,
of
but
those.
this was an AI that could respond to every question. It was really amazing, actually, how smooth, and the voice and everything was like, wow.
Huh.
Yeah.
That, well, automate.
And here's
Yeah.
why. Here's why it's going to be adapted. You know why?
It's
Because you don't
cheaper.
have to feed it.
Cheaper.
It
It's
never
overhead.
sleeps. You don't have to
Cheaper.
pay health insurance. There's
Right.
no unemployment benefits. You see what I
Right.
mean? And it, what drives technology forward is often the business sector because it's about profitability,
Yes.
right? And just think of all the office politics that go out the window once you have a subservient machine that's
Right.
doing everything you want and never goes home.
Yeah. Heather says it doesn't call in sick.
Nope.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right. Yep. You don't need to get benefits for the AI.
Right. There's no conflicts, there's no ego battles at the office. Nobody's, I mean, it's benefits on the business side are amazing for people who that are entrepreneurs.
But can
Not
you
so
see
good for employees.
Can you see the domino effect? I already see it in our coaching. Like I see so many coaches out right now. I'm like, I mean, you can throw a stone and hit a life coach, a somebody coach. Everybody's coaches now, right? And so in our industry of what we're trying to do, there are lots of them now. I mean, I know this by going on Clubhouse. I know this by all of these ads coming at me. Everybody's got a mastermind class, and everybody's this and that. You know why? Because their jobs are getting eliminated by and have been eliminated in the last year, by COVID. So the coaching industry has made an explosion, but it's impacting, if you're hearing, that you need coaching here and you need coaching there and all of that. I mean, what's the impact of that?
Well, what they don't realize is that AI will be replacing them in the next few years. I mean, we already have, as I wrote in my book, we already have AIs that are now praying. We have praying AIs. We have AIs that you can go. I mean, you have to remember, you're talking to a machine that's connected to all these various servers around the world. It has access to more information than you could ever acquire in 1,000 lifetimes, right?
Yeah.
And it can process it before you can even stop thinking the thought. So you're talking about something that has access, right? And so all that's being developed now is for this machine to think. You know what I mean?
Okay, let's do something. Alexa, what is Awakenings Within?
Awakenings Limited is in the United Kingdom,
Limited,
London, European Union,
so whatever.
England, and Europe,
Alexa, stop.
Others.
Shut up.
So, see, I'll ask her again. Alexa, what's the Awakening Within?
Sorry, I don't have an answer for that.
She doesn't have an answer for that right now, but she will because I asked it. Like if I ask it in a week, they collected that data that I asked it. So now what are they going to do? They're going to have an answer for it.
Well, we've seen the impact of COVID, but AI is going to replace 50% of the workforce.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then you add robotics to the equation, which if you've been watching that, so you've got two sort of parallel things. You've got artificial intelligence and you have robotics, and both of these things are moving at lightning speed in terms of their development. But what's driving so much of it, of course, is the business sector. Then what happens, of course, is then you get the political sector, you know what I mean, that loves to control, governments right now are all now, jumping on the AI bandwagon.
Well,
and
think about
a lot of it has to do with national security.
Right. Think about the vaccine right now. How did they mass produce that?
Mm.
How did they get it out into the public so quickly?
Probably right now, outside of some business sector, the AI is probably having the greatest impact in the medical world, and people don't realize that. But a lot of your developments that are happening right now are actually AI machines that are processing data.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
they're just data hog. They just eat up everything. But so and remember, we keep talking about. I mean, I'm going to get myself in trouble here, but we keep talking about the COVID vaccine when, in fact, by definition of the United States government, it actually is not a vaccine,
It's not a vaccine. It
right?
doesn't even
Because
follow
for
the
it to be a
guidelines of a
vaccine, it
vaccine.
has to have
That's right.
the actual infectious disease, a piece of, you know what I mean?
You
And
are
this
gonna
has
get us in trouble.
nothing.
We're gonna
There's
have that.
no
We're gonna have that little
COVID
stamp on our.
anything involved in the shot, right?
We're gonna have the stamp on our video later. You know that.
Well, no,
that
I'm just saying it's if you go
It's
and
true.
it's a really bizarre. But I posted this
you
on my
go to
Facebook
the-
page. I
Yes.
quoted right from the United States
CDC.
government's website
Yep.
on Health and Human Services (HHS) what defines a vaccine.
And this ain't it.
And this, there's nothing about what we're getting that fits
Yeah.
within this definition. And so
Right.
I find that interesting how, something that's so huge, nobody wants to
Yes.
talk about it. If you try to post anything on Twitter or Facebook, you'll get shut down. Exactly.
False information stamp.
No, it's
False
unreal, even
information.
though it's
Has
very
not been
clear,
shown
like
to
the
be
government
truthful.
itself states it's not, right? So anyway, so there's a lot of crazy things going on, but
There are.
with AI, it's all about control, right?
That's
it's about
yes.
entrepreneurs having more control.
Yes.
Because, and again, part of the underlying thing that's driving a lot of the tech development is a fundamental worldview, and it's this: humans are the weak link in nature and in the evolutionary cycle. We are the problem.
Yes.
Right.
They
And that's
are.
so when you're the people that are moving everything forward, right?
Yeah.
They see machines as the
answer.
cure-all to
Yes.
solve humanity's problems, right?
You know, my cousin was on that ground floor of automating things with a computer in all of the different industries. And he was a genius. And so he was in St. Louis, and he was on the ground floor of all that. And he was working, 24/7, trying to automate things in a warehouse, in a distribution kind of company. So he was like in the first stages of it. He would be amazed.
So this is why I say about
Mhm.
alertness, is because you have to understand the times and seasons and watch the trends. Watch and see what starts happening. So
Yes.
one of the trends that you're and the reason is the way that they seed the public. So a year ago, AI was science fiction. AI was,
Yes.
was the kind of thing that was futuristic, right? People that, watch Star Trek were into AI. Now it's gone mainstream.
Everybody. Yeah.
It's all the companies are talking about it. Everyone's bragging about it. And the demand for its services will accelerate the development of it. And it's going to have a huge impact on our lives. So one of the areas right now where AI is actually being used during the COVID thing is we have lots of people working from home.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Well, when you're at an office, you have a physical manager who is watching people's behavior.
Yes.
When they work from home, you can't do that. So guess what? Now we have AI software, but it's an AI that's actually monitoring people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sending reports, all this
Yes.
kind of stuff, right?
Yes. Yes, I'm actually looking for a software right now that's for productivity like that
Right.
for some of my
But it's
team.
monitoring you.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
today I posted another article because this whole idea
That's
of the
scary.
digital vaccination passport is now, remember, it was like another science fiction thing a year ago. Now it's becoming a reality. NBC put out uh,
I
an
saw
article
it.
about it today, that this
Yep.
is going to happen. Like, this isn't like an idea anymore. It's actually being put into place. So we no longer will be able to have the freedom to travel unless we can show that we've got this thing. So it's what I
Ugh.
warned about in my book, that what's going to happen is that the way they're going to drive things is they pry on human fear. Like, people, we all have these fears, and one of the fears that we all have is dying, right? So what happens is people come along and they pry on that fear by promising that they'll keep us safe.
Right.
But in order to keep us safe, we're going to have to give up
We
our
have
freedom, right? And
Yes.
a huge segment of the population, that's a done deal. Like, where do I sign? They're so
They're in.
fear-based that
Yes.
they'll already abdicate. And he said they don't care. They want to be taken care of and provided. So the reason I say alert is because we're coming to a cultural collision, and you're seeing these already in the political world, but it's
I
way
know.
deeper than that.
Yeah.
It has to do with people's natures and their worldviews about how they see life. And a good half of the population wants some big brother, somebody to take care of them, to make decisions for them. They want to abdicate any personal responsibility, and they just want make sure I get my food, my house, my spending money, right? And then there's another half of the population that is like, leave me alone. I want to run my own life, do my own things. I want to be right. And
Right.
these two worldviews are colliding right now in a
Yeah.
huge way.
Yeah. Yeah. I see that in the business world right now. I see it in the business world. I see how it's going. I just offered, I'm starting my virtual assistants business because everybody's working from home. Everybody wants to work from home.
Right.
And there's a lot of people interested in hiring virtual assistants, right? So they don't want to pay for a full-time employee, like you were just talking about. Now I'm talking about, having an actual person doing these things, not an AI, so I'm having a VA. So it's kind of like, I can see it happening in the business world, and those VAs will be replaced with AIs is what's going to happen. I mean, I can see the writing
Well,
on
that's
the
what I
wall
mean.
for
You
that.
call the telephone companies, the big tech
Mhm.
companies, you're talking to an AI.
Yeah.
It's so smooth, though, that unless you really are listening about how PC and perfect everything is, right?
Yeah. Yes. So
One of the little things I do to kind of find out, like, if I get on the phone, first question I go, "Where are you located?"
oh yeah.
Right?
To see if
And so
they
I was
are.
on the other day with, "Oh, I'm in El Paso." "Oh, how's the weather?" No, you know what I mean? And it's like, okay, I got a real person now.
Mm-hmm. So what? Okay. So we see it coming. We know it's here, and we know that we're having to start to balance and what we think about these freedoms that we're losing, or having to look at things differently. What do you think we should do about it? I mean, seeing about it and
one thing you have
listening,
to
and I know in your
recognize.
book you tell us. I mean, I know.
Well, one thing you have to
Mhm.
recognize is that people have different values, right? So we make our decisions based on value. So where freedom sits in one person's value system is different than someone else, right?
Right.
So
What does that
your
freedom look
number one, for a lot of people, their number one, value is like, I need to be free. Like, don't cage me, don't tell me what to do, right? Right. I call those people, ranchers. They need wide open spaces. They need to run. They need freedom. They need to breathe,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
There's another whole group of people whose number one value is security. They want to feel safe.
Right.
And safety to them is somebody protecting me. So they look at systems, right? They look at systems to protect them. So they see the government as their means of protecting themselves, right? And that tends to be where a lot of those people go. So more and more they're going to default to the government to make
Right.
sure life is fair, everything's equal, that they're provided for, you know what I mean? You're going to see that whole thing. And those two worldviews are colliding. So what's difficult is that there's a whole bunch of people, well, not a whole bunch, there's a small group of people.
So what did you call them? The ranchers?
And then the other people would rather live in a maze.
The safe zone, the maze. Okay, so
Yeah,
we'll
right.
call them
High
the
wall,
ranchers and
narrow
the mazers.
corridors.
In the comments, put which one you are. Are you a rancher or are you a mazer?
Yeah, it's like you like to live in, and you can go forward or backward.
Yeah, which one are
high
you?
walls,
Yes.
safe from the outside.
If you're watching this on the replay, put it in the comments. I want to know if you're a rancher or a mazer.
Yeah.
So which one do you, okay, I would say, see, with you, you're hard to read because I would call it, you're kind of a mix of the two, I think.
Right.
And me,
by nature, I'm a rancher. I got to have space.
yeah, me too. Well, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm definitely a
So,
rancher.
so here's where you're asking me, what are we going to do? Right. I am watching intently. Right.
We're having trouble streaming to Facebook. This may be an issue on Facebook's end.
Oh, wow.
Uh-oh.
Facebook is having a glitch.
Facebook just done it to us?
Wow.
Right. Righto. You
Well,
always say
we'll
you always say that we may be in trouble. I think we're in trouble. I think we got in trouble today.
If Facebook is listening to our conversation
With the AI.
about the COVID vaccine isn't a vaccine instantly, right?
No, we're still on.
Good.
We're still on.
Okay, cool.
Oh, it was on my personal page.
Ah.
Oh.
So when I say, what are we going to do? I think that's a case-by-case basis. I would never presume to talk to a whole bunch of people who want to be free and tell them what they should do.
Exactly.
But here's what I will say is that it is really, really important right now for you to have a clear sense of who you are.
Yes.
I know this is going to sound weird, but you need to have a clear sense of what are my values? How do I want to live? Right? Mm-hmm. And it has to be really clear. And then you're going to have to ask yourself, okay,
thanks, Heather.
What are my non-negotiables?
Yes. Non-negotiables.
Right?
We talk about that a lot, right, Heather? What are our non-negotiables?
Right. What are your non-negotiables? In other words, how far are you willing to go?
Yeah.
Before you're unwilling to give up something.
And what does that look like?
That's a little more fuzzy, but these are things you need to think about. I will tell you this, and this is not what people really want to hear.
Uh-oh.
So you're not going to like what I'm
not going to like it. I know I'm not. I can already tell.
And here's why. Is because as Americans, we have become addicted to convenience.
Mm-hmm.
We love our convenience. That's at the top of our values. I mean, we complain about how, Amazon, it's cut into all these retail stores and everybody's closing, blah, 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 blah. But do we stop buying from Amazon? No.
Right.
We're buying more and more for Amazon because we love the convenience of it. So we
That's
talk out of both sides. We speak with forked tongue, as the Indians say.
Yes.
On the one hand, we pontificate about the immorality of it, and on the other hand, we love the convenience of it. And these are, issues of the human soul. But here's what I want to say.
Yes.
Urban areas, cities, are all going to move heavily towards AI and highly controlled environments. If you are somebody who wants freedom, the urban areas are not going to be your space.
Right.
And you watch what I'm talking about, because right now, as you look around, you're seeing them. They are laying cable. They're putting 5G up, and the reason is for AI is a bandwidth hog. It takes so much data, but all these urban areas are moving towards AI running their systems. They'll
Yeah.
control the gas, the water, the electricity, the traffic, right? We're
Yes.
already seeing, I mean, they started this 5 years ago in New Orleans, but they were using predictive AI analysis against crime. That's now been moved into New York and all kinds of places. They are monitoring everything in the cities.
Yeah.
It's if you've watched The Minority Report with Tom Cruise, you know, they had the three whatever they called those, the cogs or whatever, those three girls, right?
Right.
Well, this is
Right.
the machine now, and this machine monitors everything. It doesn't sleep. It's watching, listening, and everything. And so it sends out to police potential areas where there can be problems.
Right.
So they're to help the police get ahead of things. But they're listening to everything. You go to the UK right now, there are cameras everywhere.
Wow.
Like everywhere, like every street you go on is got a camera, and they're watching everything, and AI is watching it all.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
Now that one of the things they're talking about, you know how we
can't
funny,
dare
you're
say the
seeing
word
these-
Big Brother, right?
Well, you're seeing these,
God.
these videos of people who have, people steal their Amazon packages off the front porch because they've got a camera in their doorbell, right? Because it's it's monitoring.
Right.
You know what the police are asking now? If they can link to your camera. In other words, they want to start using people's home surveillance systems into the machine.
Oh my gosh.
Right. So
yes.
the whole idea, of course, is, well, if we see somebody going down the street, blah, 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 and
we can help you.
We can help you. Right.
Right.
And there's a whole lot of people going, yes, I want to be safe. And
right.
You see what I mean?
Not realizing that you're giving away your freedom.
All your urban areas are going to be heavily monitored. You know what I mean? And again, so
what's going to be the domino effect of that?
Of living in the city or the burbs, right?
Yep. Yep.
And a system that's going to watch everything that you're doing more and more. So, it's like we were talking about with HSS, about the vaccine. You'd be, because remember, all those medical records are supposed to be what? Private.
Yeah, HIPAA's out the window. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's gone.
HIPAA's gone. I'm like, what happened to HIPAA?
Right. Remember,
where'd HIPAA
was
go?
like this. Remember, so the whole. So this is
your
what
privacy.
I'm talking about, bait and switch. Remember the big sale of, this is what made Cerner a multi-billion-dollar company. We need to digitalize everyone's data, right?
Medical records. Yeah.
We're going to put everybody's, because
EMR.
it's convenient, right? And there's all kinds of benefits, right? And everybody was scared. So they went, no, but don't worry about it, because we have HIPAA and it's against the law, right? But guess what? People have there's all kinds of people out there that have access to your medical records. And now they're actually wanting to create apps that have access to your medical records.
Yep. They already have them. What do you mean? Want to?
No, but I'm saying with the COVID thing, like digital passports, right?
Oh, I'm not. Yes, I'm not going to be doing that. No.
Well, if you want to leave the United States, it's going to be required within the next 12 months. You will not be able to leave. So think about this in terms of people that are in business. I mean, forget the wannabe travelers. You got to get on a business trip. Well, you can't even go do business unless you got the shot.
Yeah, that's it. We've gotten to this place, and I saw it last year coming too.
To another fundamental thing that it's important for people to understand about what's driving things. and this has always been the case, but it's particularly the case right now. There's a group of people, a very small elite group of people. You can call them the Davos crowd or whatever you want, which are people who have been successful in the business world and the political world, right? And because of their success, they're incredibly arrogant.
Yeah.
Right? They have incredible confidence in their own abilities to know what to do. Excuse me. So what they think in this, and I've been in meetings where you hear this, they think 99% of the rest of the world are idiots.
Yes.
Like they're just idiots. Like people are idiots. That's how they think. You get into these inner circles of these academics and people like that. They just think everybody's idiots. And so therefore, in their brilliance, they are all going to save us from ourselves by these amazing policies and procedures and this technology that they're going to deliver to us to save us from ourselves.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
And behind it is pride.
Oh, yeah.
Arrogance, right?
Yes.
And we all who are people of faith and understand the incredible dangers of pride.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Look what happened to Saul, King Saul in the Bible, before David. His pride is what took him down.
Yeah.
You
but
know,
I mean, I hate to, jump on Bill Gates, but I mean, Bill Gates is the classic guy like that, right? He's a geek. And he was very successful and he changed the world. But he believes in his own deluded mind that he's as brilliant about everything else as he is about technology.
Yeah.
You see?
Yeah. He thinks he knows about medicine. So I'm like, what does Bill Gates have to do with a vaccine?
He's the big vax guy.
What does he have to do with that? I had a friend
one time that we were talking about Stephen Hawking, right?
Oh, yeah.
Stephen Hawking was, in terms of the world of physicists, up there with Newton and Einstein, right? Einstein.
Yeah.
Brilliant, right?
Right.
But then he started talking about God.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And this, that, and everything else. And somebody pointed out the fact that this is the problem in academia. Stephen Hawking knows zero about theology, zero about the Bible, zero about any of that stuff, right? But because of the fact he was in this elite status as a physicist, he believed that he was equally brilliant to address religion.
Right.
You see what I'm talking about? How easy they crossed over?
Right. They think they know about everything. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And it's like and that's dangerous. What I mean. They look at all of us as lemmings. You know what I mean? The vast majority of humanity are mindless little lemmings that will go, and the Bible in some ways backs it up when he talks about us as sheep. We think in herds. Yeah. So there's
Revelation has if you haven't ever read Revelation, you probably should at this point. It's very interesting how and what I love about Revelation is how, John did not have a clue what he was looking at. He's like, what in the heck am I looking at here? He's looking at the future and he's looking at these things that he doesn't know anything about. And he's going, I've never seen any of this technology, right? He doesn't know why this technology is out there or how it works, but he writes about it. And it's very interesting how he, when he talks about the two witnesses and the whole world will see them. Well, before the internet, you're going, how can that happen? Like how will everybody be able to see them? It'll be projected.
Well, yes, you have to remember that John had his revelation 1600 years before anybody knew there was a microorganism.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking about somebody who would have had zero idea as to technology. As a matter of fact, if you would have taken a cell phone and taken a selfie of him and put it in front of him, he would have thought that you like stole his soul.
Right. Right.
Right? I mean,
Can
the
you imagine?
concept
He's
of
probably
him
looking at
seeing
these
himself
visions
in a
going, what
in
is
a little
this?
box.
Yeah. He's probably like, what am I seeing here? What is
Right.
going on? We're going to be so past that by the time Revelation comes anyway.
Well, and we have to realize also, I mean, I don't want to get into a whole eschatology thing here, but just remember that there was a whole lot of revelation that was happening at the time that it was being written. And what I mean by that is that, the book of Revelations talks about the Antichrist because he saw a being, right?
Yeah.
And one of the things for people who are dreamers, you don't know sometimes whether what you're seeing is symbolic or it's literal.
Right.
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 So, there's all kinds of people out there writing about the fact that when John saw this, it's literal. What I remind people is that the reality of it is that there have been antichrist systems
Yes.
in play for
Yes.
2,000 years. It's not like
Yes.
the Antichrist is coming. The
Right. I know.
In John's world, the Antichrist was Rome.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And when you and I were growing up, the Antichrist was the Soviet Union, right? Because it was socialism and it
Right.
didn't believe in God. So it was Antichrist. But there's all kinds of systems out there that have fought against the rule of the kingdom of God. They are Antichrist. So it's not like, oh, the Antichrist is coming. No, the Antichrist systems have been here for 2,000 years.
Yeah.
Right.
That's right.
And then, it talks about the false prophet, right?
Yes.
Right. Well, we've had false prophets for 2,000 years as well.
Wow.
Right. We've had, and so one of the things that I remind people of is that historically what happens is that whenever religious leaders lose their influence over the masses, they wed themselves to political power. So
Right.
in terms of Catholicism, which is probably the most stark example of this, the Pope ended up sanctioning a Holy Roman Emperor, right? So he wed the church to the government, right, that had the biggest military, so that he would defend the wealth of the church, right? So you had the Antichrist in some way and a false prophet, right? That you had these two things already wet, and this has happened over and over again. So again, it's not something new; it's a reoccurring theme that keeps happening.
Yeah,
and it's happening now, right?
Yeah,
And how we are seeing the Antichrist system put in play with AI is the people behind it believe they are creating God.
they believe that they have the answers to everybody.
Well, and here's why, right? We're
Yeah.
back to the Garden of Eden again, because in the mind of the tech wizards,
Mhm.
knowledge, the amount of knowledge that you can accumulate is what makes you God, right? Knowledge, if you have knowledge that others don't, you are a God, right? That's the temptation that happened to Eve. If
Yes.
you will eat, you will know. God,
Right.
that's really tempting, right? Who
Right.
doesn't want to know?
Right. Well, exactly. And then
Well,
it makes you not
what
trust.
she didn't have was the
Right.
power to control the knowledge, right? And
Right.
what ended up happening is humanity, because hasn't been able to handle evil.
Right. Exactly.
So that's right. So in the tech world right now, they believe that AI, because of the fact that it has the capacity to access all knowledge, is in fact a new God. I mean, they've even created churches. That's, Lewandowski, the guy that was on the cutting edge of developing the self-driving car, formed a
Mhm.
church. AI is God.
Yeah.
Right? They believe this. They believe they are creating God. I talked about in my book about how they sent a robot to the UN who basically told the whole world at the UN, you need to turn over the management of world resources to us because we're fair. No, you see what I mean? And it's like, because all these little countries have their own agenda. So why don't you all abdicate your national sovereignty and give control of the world to us, because we'll be fairer.
Right.
You see? Because
Right.
we're smarter than you.
Yes.
You see where this is all headed? So
It is.
again, you have to understand that this is why I say be spiritually awake, be spiritually alert, but you have to understand what is driving what's underneath the matter, right? You're just seeing the supposed benefits, right? You're
Right.
looking at it, you're just right. What you got to discern is the spirit, the nature of a thing,
Right.
right?
So
You
what?
have to
Right. So
understand the
what's their
nature
purpose?
behind what is being developed.
What's the
Is
purpose?
we are going to create a God for you that's going to answer all of our problems.
So brings us back to purpose. Like what's the purpose of the AI is to save them money and to be in control of things. Because at least if you have AI, you don't have any emotions along with
Well,
the
the business
task.
guy's driven by profits, right?
Absolutely.
Right.
Money.
So the business guy's driven by profits. The politician is driven by power,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And the tech guys are all driven by pride, meaning that one of the great paradoxes is that Elon Musk, who's one of the guys that is the biggest, most outspoken about the dangers of AI, is moving as fast as lightning to be on the cutting edge of developing it, right? Because of his ego.
Yeah.
He
That's
wants
so
to
crazy.
be the guy who's known for
Being the top guy.
pioneer, right?
Right.
So we
He
got
wants to be
lots
the top
things
guy
here.
of AI. Right.
Pride,
But he doesn't.
power,
Right.
profits, right?
Yes. Follow the money.
You see, that's
Follow the money.
so that's the spirit. That's what I'm.
Yes.
That's why where you got to be spiritually awake, because you have to see what's driving this. So let me say it again: pride,
And
power,
that awakening
profits.
within is where you have to be to
You have
understand
to understand
what you need to do to navigate this. Like, okay, this is all happening and it's not really in our control, is it? So we can't control what Verizon does or any of these companies do. We can't control how they're going to do business with us and offer their services.
No.
So what is our control in that? Where do we control that?
Well, this is where it's going to be really hard for people, because at a certain point, you're just going to have to say, how do I want to live? That's why I keep saying,
am I going to disconnect
know what
from
your
this
value
whole
systems are.
system? Yeah, you'll have to disconnect from the whole system. You're going to have to make that choice at some point. And like, I know it's a silly little
the
thing.
way it's going, I don't know what, and I've had this discussion with my kids, right?
Yeah.
Because as I've said to them, I'm going to be an old man, but this is going to hit you hard. You better have a plan B.
Yeah.
And my kids kind of smile and go, yeah, we're working on it. And so are a lot of our friends. And I said, you have to have a plan B. I mean, you have to, I said, if you wait until it's a crisis, then you're in panic mode and you're not thinking rationally. So, be prudent. So if you don't know what prudence is,
right.
A lot of people think prudence like you're a prude.
Right. No.
What prudence is your wisdom for the future.
Wisdom with
it's
how you're going to go.
Forward thinking.
Right.
We need to be prudent right now.
So what would be your biggest advice that you would give them to do first step?
The first step, like I said, is figure out what your values are.
The values are, right. But
figure out
that,
then what your non-negotiables are. Right. And then it's like, this is what's important to me. This is how far I'm going to go before I'm going to stop letting other people have control over me. And then as I said to them, if you really think it through, there's really only one option as to how to respond to that, which is moving out of the urban areas.
Yeah.
And so I said to my kids, I said, if it was me and I had, and I was your age, I have three. I said, I get the three of you together and go, you know what? We need to pool our resources and go buy some land out in the country somewhere that's got water and resources and build little one room and use it for summer vacation. Like have your, it's like, it's where you go on the weekends because you all, all the cousins love to be together and, you can go fishing and like use it as a recreational family
right
thing,
right now. Right.
So it's functional.
Right.
But everything there is designed that should you need to go there.
Yeah.
Right. And it's true. So think about this. So that's true if you don't want to be controlled. But then there's another piece of the puzzle. If this, you're remember we talked about early on the collision between two different types of people.
Yeah.
That's going to reach a breaking point. We've already saw last year when worldviews collide, what always results? Violence. Where is that violence?
Yeah, in the cities.
In the cities, right?
Right. In the cities.
I have friends in Normal, Illinois, farmers. Like they didn't see any riots. Nobody was protesting in there, right? You can go, like if you look at the map, about rural America, there's like zip happened out there.
Right.
We laugh because I have all kinds of friends in the agricultural world. And it's like, like nothing's changed in their world.
Right.
Like it's all in the urban areas. Everything you see on the news, right?
Even just a little bit of the worldview or the ranchers versus the ones that want to stay safe, or just even what happened with the mask thing and the maskers versus the non-maskers.
But again, if you stop and look at it all, it's all urban centric.
Yeah.
Not happening in the rural areas, meaning that in 3/4 of America, because if you look at where people live,
right,
the vast majority of us live in big cities. That's where all the conflict is.
Right.
That's why AI is coming on the scene so quickly, because they think it's going to be the big peacemaker.
Right.
Right.
Right. Yep.
All this stuff is going to happen. So I'm just saying, given the fact that, we can, work from home and do all that kind of stuff, if it was me, I would be I would have a plan B. I would be looking, I would be getting together with my kids and my family and come up with a family plan as to how we can, have an alternative, right?
Right. Hi, Larry. Thanks for coming.
So that's why I say have a plan B, but don't, start working on it. Like take your money, spend less, maybe you don't go on vacation as much, spend tens of thousands to go overseas. Maybe you take that money and buy some land, but it's the thing you always need, right? Is land and water and food. And so you're looking for land that's got access to water, right? And you want the ability to grow food. And it's amazing how much food there is. I mean, it's just incredible.
But you did see
how much you can grow in a garden to feed a family.
Yeah.
It's
and look, liberate yourself from the system. Larry's right. Because, that is the thing. It's like, you were talking about a certain person earlier who's buying up all the farmland across the country. Look at the people that are buying the farmlands.
Yeah.
They're the top. And you're going, why are they doing that? Because they want to control that.
Well, what happened in the 1980s, because I was right in the middle of this, Peter Myers, who was a friend of mine, was the Deputy Secretary of Agriculture under Reagan. And what they decided was that small family farming was inefficient. And that what needed to happen was we needed to move away from the small family farm to the big corporate farm. And the government purposely changed the rules and wiped out all the small farmers.
Yep.
This is where you had Neil Young and John Mellencamp and a lot of the artists,
Oh, yeah.
Mellencamp
The
from
farm.
Indiana,
Yep.
right?
Yes.
Who saw
Farm
all
aid.
these farmers losing their land, right? And they used the banks to do it, right?
Yeah.
They foreclosed on all these guys.
God.
And it was right. And who bought up their little farms? The big, the big co-op, right? So I have a friend who farms 1,500 acres in Illinois, right? That in the 1980s was a huge farm. Now that's a tiny farm.
Right. Yep.
These big corporate guys, they're farming tens of thousands of acres at once. And that's the way they go, right? So what's happening
they're doing GMO. But they're doing GMO.
Of our population actually feeds the other 98%. They control all the farmland.
But it's the GMO seeds that they're using.
But that's how far. So we're so far removed. I mean, if you think about this, we are so far removed from the earth.
Yeah.
Right. We have so lost touch with creation.
Well, you're making me want to move back to the homeland, to Ireland.
Yeah, Larry's right. 1,500 acres is now a hobby farm. Like it's not,
Yeah.
It's absolutely that what's gone on in 1980s was a plan. It was the government put it into place. So now the few control the many.
So when the little farm app came out, that little farm game, what you're saying is that was to deter us from having farms because we thought it was too much work to do on our stupid little phones. Therefore, did you ever do that? I was like, oh no, my crops died.
But again, it's crazy. But having your own land, having water, having your own fish, having your own little house, growing I mean, that sounds like a lot of work to people.
It does. They don't want to do it.
Because if you
can't
Amazon,
even do it on your app, if you can't do it.
No, but it's urban life. I can go to a restaurant. They make the food for me, right?
Right.
I mean, I live by myself. I go over to Constantino's and buy all my food prepped.
Right.
I love the convenience. I don't want to sit in front of my stove for an hour and cook,
Right.
I don't have the cooking gene. I don't get like a lot of women, they love to just make up. I don't have that gene. Never got it, So
yeah, I like to make.
So I'm just saying it. The idea of gardening. It's like,
yeah, exactly.
But there's a lot to learn.
Kind of fun to do
lost all that.
Yeah, we're losing it quickly. It quickly.
Well,
so it's an awakening. You have to be awakened up here too. You can't just be awakened.
In the 1930s, when my mom came into the world, 65% of the population lived on the farm.
We're farmers. Yeah. My grandmother, she was on chicken. Yeah.
Right. And your grandma, you know how many times I've heard that story from my age group about going back to the farm?
Yeah.
Like everybody, they just fled. Everyone's fled into the urban areas, but they all have these rural roots. I mean, if you're on the Kansas side, you know how many wheat farmers, people can, Kansas was all little small farms.
Right. Well, time to get back to our roots.
Far removed from it.
So yes, there is this polarization because some of us, we like the conveniences, like you said, and we're being pushed into this like kind of new era of, what is successful, right? So we're being sold, okay, if you have this, this, and this, these conveniences, you're successful. But is that true? That's not true.
Well, and even more so now, given what the social media world is, to be successful is defined by followers. I mean, how shallow is that?
Right. Know what true work is. That's right.
If you go look on Instagram and you study the top 10 people on Instagram, they don't produce hardly anything. I mean, there's nothing that they do that actually solves a single problem.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
They have zero practical solutions to solve anything. And yet we're all just enamored with them. I mean, how shallow have we become?
That's
Right?
that is a true fight right now
Yeah.
is like, because I'm in the social media realm. Okay. So I'm
Right.
all over social media and I'm into that and Clubhouse and,
I know
you
you're
know,
way
all,
better at it than I am.
I mean, all this new stuff that's coming, TikTok, you know, TikTok for your business, Clubhouse for your business. And you have to have an Instagram and I mean, you do this to get that and to do this, and then you'll get more,
But you
clients,
know
you'll
what
get
we're
more
selling?
business. Hmm?
We're selling it. It's all, again, this is the nurses. We're selling all about us.
Yes, and I recognize that at some level, and then another level, I'm like, but I want to be successful.
Right.
So
But to
so
be
I'm on
successful, you have
that.
to sell you.
I know I'm on that thing. I'm on that like teeter totter. I just kind of don't know which one am I? Like,
Yeah, I
do I want to
understand.
be? Everybody talks about authenticity on these things. They're always talking about being authentic and authenticity, but yet they want, and then they go, well, but follow my Instagram to follow my this to do that, and there is value in that. I'm not saying there's
Here's
not
the little
value.
dirty little secret. So I'll just throw it out there.
Uh-oh.
So you were talking way in the beginning of your show about all these life coaches out there. 90% of these life coaches, it's all a facade. They actually
I
got
know.
nobody.
I know.
It's a huge perception game.
Yeah.
So
It is.
you have a whole bunch of people, right? Now, I'm sorry, but it's I had years ago, I had a very profound spiritual experience at a church where I got transported to a theater stage, and I realized that what we were doing was theatrics, right? It was people playing roles. I have never seen it more rampant than in the social media world. It's a whole perception game of people pretending they're all these things that they're not. And the idea behind it is if I can get people to perceive I'm something, then I'll become something. You see where I'm
Right.
going with this?
Yeah, I do.
Right. And the truth of it, there's just simply not that many people that have money right now to hire a life coach.
I know.
It's just, I mean, it's
know
just
that.
the law
Yeah.
of supply and demand. So I'm sitting there looking at this going, are you kidding me? Like
Yeah.
it's not even real. It's like somebody wake all these people up because there's just,
Right.
people don't have the resources right now. You know what I mean? They don't.
Well, but that's why I've started this group about purpose, about finding your purpose and sharing it, and sharing it for free, like
Right.
like finding your purpose, and sharing it, because I'm also a coach and I, also am always, I have clients, but sometimes I don't,
But I'm just saying that
sometimes I
the
have free
amount of
ones,
people rushing into
sometimes
the
I have free
space.
clients.
No, but I
Huh?
mean the amount of people rushing into the space
Oh,
doesn't
it's
have the
crazy.
capacity to sustain them. It's a disaster waiting to happen,
Well, that's what I'm on the teeter totter about. I'm like, okay, I focus on this, focus on that,
So
and my
you know what?
awakening the last year has been like, oh, everybody's flooding the market with this
Right.
because of the AI, because of losing their jobs and all of this. They do want to share their gifts with the world. They do, and then you've got this person over here saying, well, you can charge, a crazy amount of money to do this. And it's
But
been an
I had
interesting.
one of my dear psychology friends who's in his 90s now once told me, he goes, the greatest fear that we humans have is we don't matter. So we're
We
irrelevant.
talk about that a lot in that space, that
Right.
imposter syndrome.
So what's happening is there's a whole lot of people doing a whole lot of things right now, trying to convince themselves that they matter. What I
Right.
really get concerned about
Right.
is what happens on the other side when they don't get what they think is going to happen, right? Then it reinforces the fact, well, maybe I don't matter.
Right.
You see, there's a dark side to this. So what I do,
Yes.
I do life coaching too, but you know what drives me? Empathy and compassion.
Yeah.
Getting famous, making a name for myself, starting a business, having an identity. I don't care about any that stuff. Doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is you, Sandy. I care about you, and so
Yeah.
I will coach you because I have empathy and compassion, and I want to see you whole and happy. Right? So
Yeah.
that's why Jesus was a
Right.
great life coach.
Yeah. Yeah. He
You
was
know what I mean?
the life coach.
How much did he
He was
charge?
the life coach.
I mean, how much did he charge? Right?
Yeah, he charged his whole body.
No, but I'm
Like,
just saying, he was actually feeding the people coming to his seminars.
exactly.
So
Exactly.
I'm just saying we got to be really, really careful here and what
Yeah,
drives us.
because I mean,
Because
I love all those people that are out there trying to
no, but
do this. I mean,
see, you got to remember too,
yeah.
and then we probably got to wind this thing up.
Yeah.
I come from the music world, right?
Yep.
You know how many musicians I saw that would sell their soul to the devil to make a name for themselves.
To make it.
I mean, it was unbelievable. I ran a record company. I was inundated. I mean, you talk to you have stacks of CDs. Everybody and their brother is right. They are all so desperate to be known.
Yeah.
And you know what? 99.9% of them will never be known.
Yep.
So what I used to tell, I would do coaching all the time, right? Because they would all come to me. And you know, my first question to them was, why are you doing this?
Mm-hmm.
And they would look at me and go, no, why are you doing this? Well, I love music. I go, good. If that's what's driving this, then go make your music and love making your music. Right. If you get a name, you get recognized, you get famous, that's just the cherry on the top. Right. But that, and what happened was I began to realize how many people were being driven by the need to be relevant, to be famous, to be seen, to be adored, to be loved. And what was driving it? You know what? Every one of those people crashed and burned.
Yeah.
Every one of those people, got somebody told, oh, you're so talented. Yeah. And they fed them all this stuff and they crashed.
Yeah. You have to have a passion for what you're doing, period.
And do it because it's your passion.
Do it because it's your passion, not because of the like right now, like a half an hour ago, when we had 0 viewers, I could have said, okay, Bob, nobody's watching us. Why don't we just sign off now? Right. And I feel like it's like that. And Larry, thank you for hanging with us. I appreciate that. But it's like, is our value of our show that we're doing or talking right now? My value is that I'm paying attention to what you're saying and what we're talking about. Right. My value is not in how many people are actually watching, but the value is that we're trying to give you some wisdom and trying to, discuss things, so you can interact as well. So, I mean, that's the value in that. And so thank you, Larry, for being always here for us too. I do appreciate you. So, and I appreciate all the wisdom that you give, Bob, all the time. And, I don't want this show to be that. The awakening within could affect one person that's watching at some other time. Doesn't matter. This is my gift. This is the gifting that God was pushing me to do.
The way I look at it is you can deposit one seed in one human soul that 20 years from now it changed everything, and that person goes on. I mean, you just have no idea, and that's where you just have to have faith. You do what you do because God told you to do it, and because you love to do it, and the results are all up to Him. Where He wants to sow His seed, it's His. So that's the way. But
when He says it's time,
and one or 1,000 is all the same to me.
That's right, exactly.
So one of my friends used to say, "With God, the pay's the same."
Well, I appreciate that because that is showing that ego is not in this, because that's it. I mean, ego is not in this, and so Anyway, so that's an
All right.
awakening within that. We're going to end on that note anyway. So thank you, Bob. I appreciate it. And thank you, Larry, for hanging with us and everybody else that was here. And I mean, where you need to see where you're at in this time. And if you're a rancher or a safer, what'd you call it?
A mazer.
A mazer. You're a rancher or a mazer.
Exactly.
Which one are you? Put it in the
All right.
comments. Rancher or mazer. All right,
God bless.
Larry.
We'll see
All
you
right,
on
take
Monday.
care. See you on Monday.
All right. Bye.
Okay, bye.